What happens when you need to travel in the winter? You need to go somewhere, maybe there's a winter storm, maybe the conditions are bad. Are you prepared for a breakdown, a dead battery, extreme weather conditions that cause road closures? Maybe it's a collision that backs up traffic in a blizzard-like condition, or even just slick, wintry conditions that leaves you sitting on the road in one place for hours on end. Vehicles can break down, and you don't know when that's going to happen. Especially around holidays, Christmas, people are traveling to see family. Lots of people on the road in bad conditions. You may be an awesome driver, but there's a lot of people out there that are not, and they could run into you. Nonetheless, stranded on a highway, slick, blizzardy conditions. You don't see a way out. How long are you going to sit there in those extreme conditions? So with that, do not travel or even get into your car during winter conditions without checking over this list. 15 life-saving items that you should keep in your car for winter condition driving. Welcome back to all of our subscribers. If you're brand new here, like news that affects you and prepping tips and emergency preparedness how-tos, be sure to hit that notification bell so you guys can stay up to date. Let's jump into this one. Okay guys, I'm going to keep this pretty straightforward, cut clean list. Stick around to the end. I'm going to give you 15 items that you should keep in your vehicle for emergency safety. 15 item list that could save your life in a bad winter scenario on the road. And if you stick around to the end, you get a couple pro tips and also a tip from a semi driver. This video is sponsored by Genesis Gold Group. Are you worried about the ongoing inflation and probability of recession? How about your retirement or your 401k? You think it's gonna be there? Will it be worth anything when you finally get it? That is why there's a movement of masses switching theirs over to gold, a gold back retirement. We're not talking about a piece of paper that says you got gold. We're talking about physical gold, gold that could actually be sent to your house. My friend Jonathan down at Genesis Gold Group can teach you and educate you about the real concern about our current situation. He's a no pressure kind of guy, and we'll get back to you when you're ready, whether you need more information or you want to pull the trigger. So if you think if real gold may be a better option for you with how things are getting, give Jonathan a call and let him know I sent you. He'll take good care of you and he'll get you all of the information that you need to know. I'll leave Jonathan's number at Genesis Gold Group down in the description below. Number 1, water. And if it's in the cold conditions, make sure it's not frozen. So this is something that you might need to rotate or keep in a bag that you bring to the car every time you come to the car. Just leave the bag by the door so you grab it every time you leave and then you grab it when you come back. But there's certain things, like look at this one. This one's already starting to freeze. Safety item number 1, water. Safety item number 2, an ice scraper and a broom type of thing so you can get some snow off your car. If you have to sit there in your car for an extended amount of time, maybe it's just a traffic accident, the chances of you having to de-ice your window is pretty high. And also, if that snow keeps coming down, you're going to want to be able to broom off the snow. Otherwise, you're doing it with your arm or whatever else you got in the car. Number 3 is warmth. You want to be able to stay warm just in case you got to turn your car off or for whatever reason you're broke down out there on the highway in a blizzard condition. This happens to be a wool blanket. I keep this one in my truck at all times. Anything that I put on this list, I will try to find links and put it down in the description below. But I've definitely recommended to a lot of people wool blankets. And if you stick around to the end, a couple of those pro tips are going to have to do with warmth. Number 4 is a shovel. And in my truck, I keep this flat metal shovel. If you have a truck, this is a really good shovel to have. You never know when you need to get through ice. Also, I keep all my winter preps in this tub right here. Kind of keeps it all nice and together. Number 5 is first aid. You've got to have some sort of first aid kit in your vehicle. This OSHA kit right here in a sealed metal container is a great one to stick underneath your car seat. Okay, for a number 6, a flashlight, a headlamp, some type of flashlight to have in here. You might want to throw in a couple extra batteries, but you get into a predicament where you have to travel somewhere to try to get some help. Maybe it's a person's house down a couple miles down the road. Maybe you have to change a tire. Chances are all you're going to have is your cell phone. And when you pull that cell phone out there into those cold conditions, high chance it could go dead because it's too cold. And number 7, speaking of cell phones, you want to be able to charge up that cell phone just in case it dies and your car is dead too. So having a crank type of USB charger for your cell phone is a great idea. The other thing I like to have is a few of these power banks fully charged and with me at all times. This one happens to be, I think, a 50,000 amp hour. I got a couple great 10,000 amp hour ones, but you might want to be able to charge that phone in case it dies and you need to try to reach some help, reach some service to make a call. Last thing you need to find out is that you finally found some service and your phone dies. Okay, coming in at number 8. Number 8 is some tow rope. You need to have a tow rope. This happens to be made for towing a car. Just keep one of these in your car. A lot of people end up in the ditch and they need to be pulled out. Not everyone carries a tow rope with them. So whether you're pulling someone else out that's in the ditch or you're the one in the ditch, having someone come by that actually has a tow rope, well, sometimes that's the problem. So you can pick up a simple tow rope so someone can pull you out of the ditch. A lot of people end up in the ditch. So we're at number 9. And if you guys haven't hit the like button by now, please hit the like button. It's great for the channel. And I'm out here in 2 degrees. It's been in the negatives. And I know a lot of you people are out there traveling right now or just about ready to travel. So I want to get this good information out to you. With that, do people a favor and share this out. That way more people get equipped. You never know. The little share that you do might equip a lot more people out there on the road to help each other out. Now, number 9 is an old school trick. I don't happen to have any on me, but I do have a sandbag. With that, kitty litter. A lot of people keep a box of kitty litter in their vehicles in winter conditions because you can use it to put under your tire to get a little bit of traction to get out of a slick situation. And like I said, having a sandbag, sand works the same. Some people use rock salt. A lot of folks that don't get the snow depth do get the ice and the black ice. And sometimes your car's going down and it just starts going this way and then you end up somewhere and you got to try to get out of there. A lot of times sand or kitty litter can help with that. Okay, coming in at number 10 is a toolkit. Some basic little toolkit that's going to give you some Phillips, some flathead, a pair of pliers, maybe a few sockets. A lot of times all it takes is some basic tools to get something fixed. But you're not always going to be able to fix everything. But having a basic little toolkit in your car can help you with a lot of things. Okay, so I'm not going to dig this out or crawl under my truck to show you this one. But coming in at number 11 is a spare tire. A lot of times people are out there, unforeseen things happen, you get a flat tire. Let alone with most people not even knowing how to change a tire. You got to start with having the spare tire to figure out how to change your spare tire. A surprisingly amount of people do not keep a spare tire on their rig or double check that it's still there and inflated. So with that, make sure that spare tire is there. Make sure it's inflated and ready to go. Number 12 is chains. A lot of times you can go to a tire place and get a set of chains. Living in the country, we get 2 sets of chains. That way we can have a set on the front and a set on the back. Having chains that fit your tires can definitely be a lifesaver. Now, sometimes it sucks putting on the chains out in the middle of the storm. Once you got them on, big sense of security on that traction that you gain. You might be heading over a treacherous stretch. Black ice. Major ice areas, chains do really well in icy conditions. Chains also do great in snowy conditions. And I can say this personally because I put them on every single year. A lot of the places around here get sketchy. And if I have to go up to see my dad up north, most often I am putting on those chains to get over a pass. And with that, if you're in the Pacific Northwest, a lot of these passes require chains when that weather gets bad. So if you don't even have those chains to put on your vehicle, you may not be legally allowed to go over that pass, leaving you stranded yet again. Number 13. Jumper cables. I actually have these guys out because I had to help someone just the other day. Having jumper cables in extreme winter conditions is very valuable because what a lot of people don't understand is batteries aren't always 100% full. They'll work for a lot of normal conditions, but when that temperature drops, you can actually take your vehicle into a battery place with battery professionals, have them test it, and they'll actually tell you at what temperature your battery would most likely fail. So that's just it. You may be running your car around daily and not think that there's any issue because there isn't. But you go get into a cold situation, there may be a scenario where you turn off that car and it doesn't turn back on. And there you go, stranded in a winter scenario on the road. Okay, so 14 and 15 are a little precursor on the pro tips, but at number 14, I added this because it has become super crucial to have in these type of situations. We're talking about an old pair of knee pads. Now you can use some sort of garden cushion, but having knee pads If you've got to dig yourself out or crawl under your car to get something out, dig snow out, a lot of times you drop to your knees and your knees are going to freeze and get wet and hurt because you might be on gravel or some type of pavement. Like especially for me, I was in the construction trade for quite a while. My knees do not like being on hard surfaces alone. So having knee pads makes an extreme scenario where you got to fix something or get out and deal with something a lot easier. And number 15 is a good quality garbage bag. I recommend like a contractor style of garbage bag. They're very big, they're thicker plastic, but not always are you gonna go and travel or even go to work or wherever you're going and have some type of protective winter shell, rain gear. And if you get caught up in a situation where you have to travel to make a phone call, you have to travel to get gas, you have to travel to get help, and it's raining or snowing, a lot of fabrics will hold that snow, it'll melt, then you'll be wet in the cold, freezing temperatures. Even having a contractor garbage bag, you can cut sleeve holes in it, put it on like a poncho, it'll keep you a lot drier, it'll keep heat in. You can also use that as a protective knee pad on snow. If you don't have knee pads, it'll at least keep you from getting wet knees. These are all really good items to keep in your car for emergency winter conditions. Like I said, I have experience with every single bit of these. Okay, so if you've made it through the 15, time for some pro tips. Like I said, the knee pads and the contractor bag was actually part of my pro tips, but I wanted to chalk it up to a 15-item list. Okay, circling back to the list item of warmth. Keeping a candle in your car can make a big difference because it's a small area to heat, and even one little flame can make a large difference on changing that air temperature. Even better than that, in this video up here, I teach you guys how to make this Crisco candle that you can stuff underneath your car seat. Keep the lid on it. It's got a wick. It's got a hook up here so that you can easily hook it on your rear view mirror. This will provide light. This will provide a level of heat. And talking about burn time, that little guy will last probably more than a week. Also on emergency heat in the vehicle. Heat's a big one. You got to be able to stay warm. Wool. Having wool is a lifesaver. Wool and down clothing can really keep you warm in cold conditions. This happens to be a wool hat. This happens to be a wool liner. But typically, I'll keep extra clothing in the back seat for those emergency situations. You never know when you've got to go somewhere, and a lot of times you don't hop into that car knowing that you can crank the heat with all the layers in the world on. So having a few different layers, even keeping them in a duffel bag. Go to an Army surplus, or I'll leave a link to something down there, but having an extra cheap wool pullover, wool hat makes a big difference. Another tip that I've recently learned, eye protection. A lot of times some of these motocross goggles right here, they can protect your eyes. A lot of people are dealing with a lot of wind chill factor right now. I know personally in the last couple of days, I've done hours of snow blowing and plowing, and my eyes actually feel like they're wind burned, cold burned, everything burned. They've been irritated, so don't forget about your eyes. Either that or you can do the old Eskimo tight little grip thing, but you're still gonna get air in there. When you can buy something like this and just keep it in the tub in your car, I think it's worth it. Another pro tip, make sure you have a way of starting a fire. And this isn't just a lighter, make sure you got some matches in there too. For those of you out there that just want to beat the system, you can buy heated gear, heated vests. This is actually something that's fairly new to me, and I absolutely love it. This is actually new to me this year. It's been on my wish list for quite a while, even when I'm hunting, but you can get hats, blancas, vests, gloves, socks, pants that are all heated. A lot of people ask, do they work? They absolutely do work. And what I really love about them, and this is outside of even car survival, but even doing outside snow removal or anything outside in these extreme cold conditions, you go out toasty warm. As long as you get the right kind, you can plug these USBs into any type of power bank. So let's say I have the power bank that came with this vest that just charges on an outlet. That thing will last me a good 4 to 6 hours blasting on high. But I've bought bigger power banks that will last all day long. So knowing that you can go out in frigid conditions and be warm, wrapped by a warm blanket is what it feels like, not have as many layers on. So when I'm out chopping wood or I'm out logging and it's freezing cold, I'll have this on. Then I'll start working out, sweating, I'll turn it off. I have less layers on, I cool down, I don't sweat as much. And then when it's time that I start getting cold again, I just go push a couple buttons and warm right back up. Now, would I rely on this tech for survival? No. So in the car emergency stockpile, have the layers and the wool and the down. This would just happen to be icing on the cake. Now I know you guys are waiting for the final one, and the final one comes to me from a truck driver. Now if you guys take emergency preparedness, survival, winter readiness to the ultimate level, then you're going to have some pretty good heat sources in your vehicle, in your semi truck. Like I said, this is a semi truck driver tip, because you know those guys deal with all of the road scenarios in the winter. So with that, you're in your car, maybe you have a Mr. Buddy heater or some other type of open flame type heat source like these truckers do, because a lot of times they have to sleep overnight and they want a little extra warmth. Now, if you're that serious person, this is not a cheap item, but you could get a cheap item. You could get one of the cheap carbon monoxide detectors and put it in your rig, which I would highly recommend. But this little guy right here is a carbon monoxide detector made for travel, made for putting it in your tent, into small spaces, in a car. And even more than that, you guys don't know when you go to an Airbnb or a hotel. I've heard some horror stories in the comments down below of people passing because of failures in the heat system and they didn't have a proper carbon monoxide detector. So when you travel, you can bring this guy with you and have that sense of security with the carbon monoxide. But this guy happens to be pretty fancy and over $100. But like I said, if you're serious, this is the type of stuff you spend your money on. Otherwise, a cheap carbon monoxide detector that has like a 10-year battery life on it, that would work just the same. This one just happens to be mobile, and with its super small size for traveling, super cool. So there you have it, guys. Please do me a favor, share this video out. This is good information for anyone. The more people out there prepared, the more people that are out there that can help other people out. If you're traveling soon, be sure to travel safe, travel smart, have your winter driving emergency checklist checked off. Stay safe, keep prepping, keep learning, keep doing, guys. We'll see you on the next one.